Hey guys, and welcome back for the last session of the Yoga for Rocks Inversion Week. Grab your beloved belt, lay down on your back, hook your right foot and make sure you hook over the ball over the foot, not over the heel, and then you pull the pinky toe side more than the big toe side. So make sure your foot is flat, bend your knee and take a breath here. And then you inhale to prepare and exhale, stretch the leg up as far as you can go. Inhale, prepare, bend your knee, exhale, stretch. Keep going, inhale, exhale. Inhale to prepare and exhale, stretch. Keep going, and it doesn't matter if it's really intense, since you're just going in and out of the pose, you don't have time to really suffer that much. So it's nice and relaxed when you inhale, and when you exhale, you really stretch it. Do 5 more on your own. And then stay with the legs straight for 3, 4, or 5 breaths, pulling the more in the right arm than the left arm, so the foot is flat and you can feel the stretch on your whole backside on the right leg. And lay the leg down on the ground and just feel the difference between your right and left hamstrings. Switch sides. Belt over the ball of the foot, bend the knee to prepare, inhale, exhale, stretch it out as far as you can go. Inhale, bend, exhale, stretch. Inhale, exhale, pulling the left arm more than the right so the foot is flat all the time. Just this little angle of the foot changes the stretch for the hamstrings. Keep going. 5 more. And on the last one, straighten your leg completely and stay here for 5. Nice, and release. We're gonna do the back bend again we did before. So put padding under your shoulder blades, but make sure your shoulders and the back of your head is touching the ground. You can keep your feet together and knees apart, or you can lean the knees into each other. Just a minor back bend here, opening up the chest and the front body, because we're gonna use the belly and our core in a couple of minutes, and you're gonna feel it in the hip flexors and the core, and you're really gonna feel, if you only played top before, then you're really gonna get a feel how it feels to be a guard player when you have to throw your legs up all the time to defend yourself. So if you didn't do it before, you're in for a treat. Take half a minute here and let your chest open. You can bend the arms 90 degrees, and if your arms aren't really touching the ground completely, don't worry. Just find a comfortable angle so your chest and your belly is open. Three more. Lift your hips up and move the padding to under your lower back. So not so much under the hips, more under the lower back. And grab your hamstrings and pull the knees close to the armpits. So hug your knees close And this is for sure a prepping pose for playing guard, because you're spreading your knees apart, and the less distance you can create between the thigh and the ribs, then the guy has less space to enter and pass your guard. So the inner thigh, absolutely, it's very important if you want a big wide guard in order to defend yourself. But what we're going to work from here is also the reach of the guard, because the longer you can reach your foot out to the side, the more he has to pass around to pass your guard. So if you can hug your knees in and then stretch one leg out and then the other, this is a great exercise, because our hips are elevated, so it's realistic, because that's usually what it is. When you roll back to defend the guard, then your hips are lifted. It's really difficult to do this when the hips are in the ground, but you use your hands, your sheath here, and pull the knees in, so you don't have to actually use your hip flexors to defend. You're helping the hip flexors with your biceps, but you're working the hamstring flexibility in a real life, real grappling scenario. This is exactly how it is when someone is passing you and you need to put your foot there in order to spin around back to guard. So just with some padding under the lower back, maybe you need to move the padding further up the back, or you need more padding, but just hug your knees in and stretch the leg from side to side. Let's go half a minute more here. Four more each side. All right, and get back up to seated. Sit up on your padding, feet together, knees apart. Just flap your wings from side to side, up and down. And then walk as far forward as you can with your hands, so either hands on the ankles, feet, or ground. Make sure you're not starting by tilting your hips back and rounding your head forwards. Tilt your hips forward, lift your chest, and from here, if you can stay here for a few breaths, then you're allowed to sheath and round your spine a little bit. But sheathing comes last, posture comes first. So start with posture, and then as you breathe out 7, 8, 10 times, each out breath allows you to sheath a little bit more. Drop your chin to your chest. Let your head hang and breathe deeply up and down through your nose. Three more. Okay, we're ready to work. Lay down on your back again. Legs up, arms down your side so you can grab the floor with your hands. Of course, keep your knees bent as much as you need to. The more straight your legs are, the more work it's going to be for the core. So I absolutely recommend starting with bent knees, and then as you do this every day or a couple of times a week, then you can start straightening your legs. But what we're going to do is look to the right and lift your hips towards your shoulder. Look to the left, lift your hips towards the left shoulder. And then you just keep going like this, lifting as much of your spine as you can over the shoulder. All right? So up and down, down and up, switching sides all the time. So you build a little bit of momentum, but the arms are keeping you from falling sideways. So what you want to do is roll back on your shoulder, not your neck, your shoulder. Keep going. 3 more each side. One more. And then place your feet down the ground, lift your hips, and belly breathe here to stretch out your belly and the front of your hips. So what we just did is a very realistic inverted guard prep, because something you don't want to do is this. You don't want to roll back and stay here, because this is not a good position to be in. You want to avoid this. You only play the upside down guard. You only invert when you're in trouble, and you're not supposed to be there for long. So when we learn to do this, do a few more on each side. When we learn to lift the hips sideways and be comfortable with the weight on our shoulder, we don't actually have to injure our neck or our spine. So you can go here, even if your legs are up. If you get used to not having the weight in the neck, then you might be able to invert. Even though you're not super flexible, you might be able to invert and then push back. So you can go up and down. But you need a lot of core strength, and you need a certain amount of flexibility on the backside in order to do this. So it's almost like you're rolling back and getting up to your knees, but not quite. You're just rolling up and down, up and down. And if we had arms or something to grab onto, it would be easier to pull our legs in. So when someone is pushing down on you, don't push them away, hug them in and try to catch something with your foot, a leg, an arm, or a gi. So when you roll back, you catch, and you just go into the upside down guard in order to hook an anchor. It's like you're a thief and you're throwing one of these hooks over the wall so you can climb yourself up. So you're kind of throwing it and hooking, throwing it and hooking. So before every session you can do this exercise as a kind of reverse sit-up. So instead of lifting our upper body, we just lift our lower body up and down. All right? Sit back up on your knees. We're gonna stretch this out. So place something under your butt. Lean back. If you have a wall behind you, lean towards the wall. And first breathe through the belly and stretch out the belly, because we used it a lot in the last exercise. You probably can feel that. Now engage the belly again and stretch the front of your thighs. If you can get the quads, the hip flexors and the belly to work together in be synchronized with your breath, then guard playing is going to be much easier, especially if you can also loosen up the backside as well. But it's not only the backside. You don't only have to get flexible in the hamstrings. You loosen up the whole backside and you strengthen the front side and make it work together with the breath. And you probably have to do a few hundred or 1,000 repetitions before things start making sense. So imagine I was going to the gym with you and you were going to teach me deadlifts. You would think I was a complete fool if I said, let's go for 300 pounds immediately. You start with just the what do you call it, the thing that you lift. I don't remember the name in English, but you start with that one and get the technique right, and then you need a few hundred or 1,000 lifts before things start happening. So maybe in a month, 2 months, 3 months, I can expect to actually see the difference or feel and see the weights. Like when I add on weights, I can actually start to see the gains. And it's the same thing here. You need a few weeks, a couple of months before you can expect results. So don't jump into this and think you're gonna get immediate results, because you're just gonna get disappointed. You have to be consistent, and you have to get through this pain and disappointment before you get any results. All right, let's do a few more. Step the left foot forward, right leg back. Inhale, lift your chest, and exhale, try touching your face towards your knee. So inhale, push the chest forward. Exhale, try to touch your head towards your knee. Keep going back and forth. 3 more. Next time you're forward, move the hands on the inside of your left foot, and if there is no space there, just move the foot out to the side and try to really get your groin area down as far as you can go. So your hands are bearing weight so that it's not too intense, but if you need more intensity, just move the weight around slightly and find that sweet spot where you can engage your right butt and push the hips down and take 5 here. And switch sides. Right foot forward, hips down. Inhale, look forward. Exhale, touch your face towards your knee. Inhale, lift your head. Exhale, lean back. Inhale. Exhale. Inhale. Exhale. Inhale. Exhale. Next time you're forward, move your right foot out to the side. Get down as low as you can go and engage your left butt and push your hips down to the ground and take 3. Step back to all fours. Walk the hands back and squat down, and mix the down dog with a squat. So it's a squat where you lean 50% of your weight into your hands. So squat down as low as you can go, and if you have knee problems, then you can do this. You can place something under your hamstrings, so you're kind of squeezing an object between your calves and your hamstrings. This can feel really good for the knees, especially if you have meniscus problems. Drop your head and try to get your belly between your knees. So really go as low as you can go. Maybe even the head touches the ground, maybe not. Doesn't really matter, but just try to get between your legs. So you're again decreasing the distance between your chest and your thighs. And release. All right, so what have we learned from these 5 days? Well, we have learned that it takes time to stretch out big, thick, strong muscles that are resisting like crazy. So just as when you're a skinny person going to the gym, it takes time and effort and dedication to build the muscle mass. Luckily for you, you already have the muscle mass. I don't believe that you're weak. I think you're very strong, most likely, because I never seen a rock that is soft. Rocks are hard and thick, and that's good news because that's gonna protect your body. But when you do jiu-jitsu and when you play guard and start inverting, it's gonna hurt your neck because there's too much resisting. So if you loosen up the backside and if you learn to work the front side and if you learn to breathe and if you avoid actually rolling back over your neck, which is just a stupid thing to do, and you learn to use the angles instead, and if you can stretch the hamstrings enough to get your foot enough to get an anchor, then you can kind of start cheat playing the inverted guard together with the spider guard and not actually go into the double folded position, which is, like I said, not a good idea anyways. So I hope you enjoy this program, even if it felt like a complete disaster. I beg you, do it if that's the case. If this was just horrible for you, but you endured 5 days, then do it 4 more times and then tell me it didn't work. That you still feel like you have no idea what's going on there and you believe you're never gonna make it. Well, maybe you need to get more willpower, or maybe you need a few months, because if I'm a 120-pound guy who never lifted anything else than a computer mouse, you have to give me like 3-4 years in the gym and on the jiu-jitsu mat before I'm gonna kick someone's ass. And if you did jiu-jitsu, you signed up for jiu-jitsu, which is the hardest stuff you can ever do. This stuff is easy, you just have to give it time. Okay, thank you Rox for